See, this is, in my opinion, the issue. So I want you to think in these lines, along these lines. How do I gain a competitive advantage with what I have, or what I'm going to have? All right. So a competitive advantage, you heard this term earlier, is providing your customers a product or service that's superior to that's superior to what any of your competitors provide. And that means you have to know what those customers want. Because superior is in their eyes. Not in your eyes, it's in their eyes. So it's got to provide them superior value. And that's why they come to you rather than to any of your competitors. Now, it may be in the characteristics of the product or service. It may be in the characteristics of how you deal with them or how you provide them that product or service. It may be the way you do it, like Southwest Airlines. I don't like their peanuts that they give me on the airline, but I like the way they give me the peanuts. I say that in a funny way, but you know, I fly on some other airlines that give me more. They give me more than peanuts, but they kind of throw it down on the, the tray. I don't like that way they give it to me. Frankly, I don't like what they give me either, but that's another story. So it is partly in the way you're treated too, in that. So am I willing to pay a lower price for a better service? Sure, because in my eyes, I'm getting superior service, see. Now, not everybody may define it that way. You have to also realize. So they're still serving, not the total market, they're serving even partly a niche market. Because there are still some that fly first class on full service airlines. And that they can't get that kind of service with Southwest. So again, it's a niche, although they've got a pretty big niche market. All right, now there are a lot of different things you could do. It'll depend on the market you're in. So these are just points. They may or may not work in your particular product or service. You've got to have a customer orientation. I would say you have to have customer orientation anyway. That means really understand your customer and make sure that they feel they're getting that superior service. Second, you really do need to understand your competitors' capabilities. I don't care who they are. First, you're going to have to identify them. Who are they? And then you need to know them. In fact, if you can, know them better than they know themselves. And actually, in some cases, that won't be too hard because they won't be thinking about themselves. They won't really know. I already told you that about some of their weaknesses. If you can identify those weaknesses, you can win. If you can overcome those weaknesses in what you provide the customer. So knowing them is very important. Identify. You can manage your own resources effectively. Think about it. What are your resources? And then you identify. I'm not telling you to tell me, but you think about what are your resources. Well, I will tell you, in most small firms, we've already had some points made how you win, if you will, but it's because you are more flexible. You're not as bureaucratic. You may be more innovative because you again can move and you can move faster. And oftentimes, if you're wise, one of the new companies that tend to be successful have high quality human capital starting with you. And that means normally you're going to have a few others working with you and you work together as a team. You manage your resources effectively. Now that's certainly financial resources. That tends to be very critical to young firms. But you know, even my experience with venture capitalists and angels and those who invest in small firms, most of them tell me that they have several criteria on which they invest, but the number one criteria that they look at first is the human capital. 2 is the idea. So they do look at the idea. Now, I tend to think of, and I always thought till I interviewed a lot of these people, that it was probably the idea. They said the idea does have to be good. But they've even said I've invested sometimes in companies that I didn't think the idea was that good, but I thought the people were fantastic, and they'd probably make it anyway. So the human capital is very critical to gaining resources outside. And being entrepreneurial. You know, what we just described earlier, most larger competitors are not entrepreneurial. And we're not just talking about small new businesses, we're talking about being entrepreneurial. That means having an entrepreneurial mindset. That means not just with the initial idea that you have, but continuing to do that. And that's a little harder to do. Now, how can I improve this? You continue to try to improve it. You're always trying to stay ahead. See, Priceline.com had a great idea. They launched a whole new, almost industry, if you will. Of course, the technology allowed them to do that with the internet that then became widespread, and so many of us now, everybody uses across the world. But it was the idea of what they did. They launched a whole new industry. And now there are companies all over the world that do this. And in addition to the major competitors that exist in the U.S. that do it, some of them are specialized, some provide broad services, etc. They launched a whole new industry. The problem they had is they had a great idea, obviously, but they did not stay ahead. They didn't continue to try to improve. They let others come in and take market share away from them. They let others come in and introduce the new ideas to how to improve their services. So you have to continue to be entrepreneurial, because if you have a good idea, you will invite competitors and they will come in and take your market from you.